What's going on, guys? Ticker Trapper here. Today's date is April 19th over here in Japan. The market's going to be opening up tonight for me at 10:30 p.m. So a lot of anticipated hype for me tonight with the market reopening. So basically, my main look for the stock that I'm the most bullish on and have been for a while now is AMC Theaters, like I talked about in my last videos. Um, I do believe that this stock is under heavy attack from a lot of price spoofing and a lot of manipulation from the hedgies with the current price action that's going on. It's not looking too hot for retail investors, but what I do see in the future is very bright for AMC coming up. First big point is going to be the 100% utilization is coming very, very soon. We can see right here, we are approaching with this daily change rate anywhere between 4 to 1% every single day the market's been open. We have only seen this thing pushing higher and higher till we're going to get to that 100% utilization rate. And I do see that thing coming this week. If there's not going to be some very, very heavy volume in buying interest to push this thing any higher this week, we're going to see this utilization continue growing till we get to that 100%. And from when we get to 100%, who knows how long we're going to last at that point. We've seen it before here, sat for a couple days back in September of 2020. We've seen over here in March, we've seen the utilization sit for 100% for only a couple of days. And same back in December, we've seen it hang out here for days on end. So there's no per se projection as to how long this thing can sit at 100% utilization. It is only very much so dictated by the retail volume we can get this thing pumping into. Like I said before my last videos, is when this thing gets to 100% utilization, we're going to see some drastic changes in the price movement. We've only been on a technical standpoint, we've been able to see this thing to the T predicting that when it hits 100% utilization, after they're going to cover their shorts, you're going to see a push in price. They're going to push back up to that, they're going to start shorting the crap out of it. You're going to see it push down until we get to that higher utilization. It's just been an up and down swing in motion for this utilization dictating price action. And we have a ton of price spoofing going on as well. You can see over here, back down from where we closed on the 16th, this thing wanted so hard to try to push that $10 level. And if you looked at the level 2s that were going on Friday, those $10 options were trying so hard to get expired in the money. But with this price spoofing going on, they were able to knock this thing down all the way to that 933 close end of market on Friday. So we have seen this heavy shorting to get these prices down as hard as they can get, to get the fellow apes and retail traders out of AMC so they can continue to push this thing back down and gain their profits. They have so much capital right now going forward for them that they're going to be able to push this thing down, but only to a certain extent. We can see over here, once they are capped at that 100% utilization, you can only see that they can't go much forward past that point without being able to get into your phantom shares and your black pool trading. There's only so much you can get going on from this point too. The biggest thing that's going to have to happen from this point forward is the retail trading volume. You saw when this thing exploded up to that 20%, up to that $20 price target, this volume was absurd. 1 billion shares traded. The volume was insane. We've seen this trickling off of volume going into today on April 19th. This volume is minimal from what we had seen before. We need that current volume to then up spike to then create that toppling effect moving into this 100% utilization. Once we can get this thing utilized and we can start getting something going on the retail volume side of things, we're going to see these shorts covering. And if the volume can get pushed so quickly and so fast, then we can see this dramatic, insane climb in price that we saw over here in AMC. Now the difference also is there's not going to be as much of a gamma squeeze for the fact that options expiring this coming next week. We'll see how they can do with the price action coming in. But we're looking at this utilization combined with starting off the week. We don't really, with not being able to hit that $10 price target last Friday, who knows on how well they're going to be able to get off any gamma squeeze whatsoever. For those call options expiring at that $10 range, we're not able to get pushed through. So we're going to have to see this very, very high tick in volume. And if we can get this big tick in volume coming through this week, we can for sure see this dramatic change in price going on forward. So like I said, this lowering volume is what's going to be killing off these gains for this stock right here, allowing those hedgies to keep pushing down these shorts further on this current float for shares that are on loan available to be lent out. Like I've said, 100%. We need volume, guys. We need volume to get this thing up any higher than what it's currently going to sit. New movie releases coming for AMC. Obviously, we got a lot of new reopenings, continuing of movie reopenings. Like I said before, unfortunately, AMC, it took a huge hit from coronavirus. And from this point forward, if they can continue their growth they've seen from movie theater reopenings and paying off current debts that they're able to see on their balance sheets, you're only going to see an uptrend here. The biggest thing for me, the difference between GameStop and AMC is, yes, GameStop is a hopeful prediction in the future that their e-commerce will grow. They'll do well. They got Ryan Cohen and all these other great guys that they put on their board and their team to make this company hopefully do well in the future. But based off of AMC's previous trend in price growth, this is almost a guaranteed aspect. If movie theaters are part of American culture, they are a part of everything that Americans, you go on a date, you take your girl, your boy, whoever, your guy, whatever it's going to be, out to the movies. You bring your family out to the movies. As this coronavirus is wrapping down, you're going to see a continued back growth of revenue for this company. And I believe that this thing is still extremely undervalued based on the fact of how they're not able to get any people in the theaters for almost over a year now. And with everything reopening, brand new movies coming out, big name tickets are coming out, everything's growing from here. This is a very good, not let alone swing play, but mainly a long-term play that I'm seeing out for years on end. But mainly with this short interest and manipulation of the stock, I'm seeing this also being a great play for the short, only dictated off of how much volume we can get this thing moving in the next weeks, months, or even days. So we'll see how that's going to roll into. Like I said, on my first couple of points, the shorting is unprecedented from what we've seen for a lot of other stocks comparatively to believing that the hedges believe, for the most part, from what I'm taking away from this, is that AMC theaters in general, supposedly post-COVID, is going to be just rolling out of play. You're going to see people being cautious for years possibly, or worried about going back into theaters or doing public events, or thinking that streaming is the new way and that everybody's just going to be watching brand new movies in their home with their families and all that stuff too. I personally do not see that being the case. I know obviously Netflix, Hulu, all these big companies are doing great, and they have been showing that they've been able to push out new films and all this stuff as well. But I just do not see, for the last history of how great movie theaters have done and the popularity of going out to see that movie in person at the theaters, the experience that is involved with all of this is something that will continue to withstand in American culture, yet alone culture worldwide for movie theaters itself, especially for AMC theaters being an American-based movie theater chain. So I see that with that being the projection from the hedgies, they're just going to keep pushing this thing down and making people fall out, retail traders fall out, until they can pretty much give into their own personal bearish price projections on the stock. And once they're able to, boom, they're going to hit their short capital gains profits. And then from there, they're just going to hop back in when they see AMC theaters pushing back up and rolling in with some profit generated. They want to see fundamental numbers. They see that AMC's reopening, getting good things, then they'll possibly sit behind this thing and push in for some future bullish price projections. But right now, this whole thing is just being shorted until retail traders can give up. But as a retail trader, we cannot give up. We cannot fall in. This is the French financial revolution. We cannot give in and hold back on letting the hedgies take the most advantage of us. Yes, there is their capital behind them that they have, but this utilization rule is coming in very, very close, and we can get this volume to kick this thing back up. Last point I'll leave it with too is, after looking at these Elliott waves, I can say with almost certainty, based off this projection that we've been looking at all the way back into about 2018 October timeframe, I'm able to see this good solid Elliott wave trend pushing this price action all the way up to about that $18 mark looking into your June, July timeframe. If this thing is going to continue what it's been doing this whole time before, based only off this current volume that we've had, this very mellow volume compared to what we had in the first couple months of this year, we're going to see this thing continue to rise with the movie theater reopenings, increased growth in revenue, and everything pushing this stock up to at least that $18 price target by the June to July timeframe. If we can see a greater chance in volume with this utilization rate we're rolling into now, we can see this thing only skyrocket even more. And I'm talking about huge projections on this thing. A lot of my other buddies that we've been talking through on our other side thing channels is $200, $250, and I know trades and these other guys have been talking about even $2,000 price predictions for this thing. But who knows when? It is solely based off of this volume. And of course, once this volume starts throwing through and you're going to get a lot of these stocks running through, you're going to see heavy buying restrictions from these brokerages like Robinhood, Webull. All these things are going to then roll into place. We will see if they've been able to fix, quote unquote, their liquidation and requirements to meet their clearinghouse liquidation requirements going forward like they've claimed. But I can almost guarantee saying there was no liquidation problem. If they had a problem, they would have cut off their margin. There should be no liquidation problems to buying the share through the clearinghouses directly through. A lot of it does go into play that these stocks that you're buying through these brokerages are coming straight from these hedge funds that are giving you the shares themselves rather than it being purchased through the New York Stock Exchange, which is the biggest problem with a lot of these backdoor deals they have going on with these trade deals with these $0 commission fees. So we're going to see how this thing rolls through this week. I'm very excited through how this thing is going to go. Please leave a like, dislike, whatever you got to do. But make sure you subscribe and leave a comment on what you got going on this week. Out.